All right, hey guys. So what I'm doing today is live streaming the creation of a song from the ground up. I'm going to later on take this live stream and edit it together into an instructional video. I've shot some other pieces to explain about hardware and whatnot, what I'm using, because I want to have something where I shoot a video and where I show you how from the ground up to do your very first song, everything that you'll need. And when I do the edited version of the video, it'll be a little bit more thorough as far as showing you about the equipment and such. But we're actually going to go through the song process using that equipment. Now, in short, just so you know, I've got obviously a guitar here. We're working on a computer, a PC that we're plugged into. To get sound into the computer, I'm using something called the Motu M2. It's a USB interface, and I also have the sound coming out of that. So I have the guitar plugged right into that, and I'm going to be using software to create the sounds. I'll share all that with you guys. We're listening to it through speakers. I have monitors. I'm going to talk to you about what headphones you would need if you wanted to use headphones instead. Generally speaking, you can spend less money on a good pair of headphones that you can mix on as compared to what you would have to spend to get speakers that are worthy of mixing good music on. Now, the software we're using, I'm going to switch the screen here so you can see the software. We are in Reaper. That is, I have this on a very wide screen, so it's almost like two screens. That's the left side of it is going to be the track window, and the right side of it is going to be where you see the waveforms as I start making the music. So Reaper is a piece of software that is every bit as good as anything you'd use in a professional studio, and you can use it for free. If you want to pay for a license, it's $60, I believe. I never remember whether it's 65 or 60, but a lifetime license to it is extremely inexpensive, and you have a piece of software that you could and will be able to write professional level releasable music on. I have a guitar part here. I haven't even plugged in any software. I'm just plugged in directly, and I have an idea of what I want to do. Hi Ronnie, how are you? So I'm going to take that, I'm going to be turning it into, I'm not going to do a full-blown song here. It's going to be minute and a half, 2 or 3 parts of a song, just so you can see how it works. I'll do an intro, a rhythm, lead, I'll get some drums in there and whatnot. So the first step, you have the hardware. Again, when I slice this together or splice it together into an edited video later, I'm going to run through all of that. I'm plugged into the Motu M2, the guitar is going into the computer. We have Reaper loaded. We need to figure out what tempo we're in so that we can start to put together a click and drums to the song. So if we look at the right side, I'll switch again screens where the waveforms are going to be. You can see up here on the upper right, we have, this is a measure count, and it's also a number of seconds that are happening. It keeps track for you. Each one of these little lines here is a click. So if you were counting 1, 2, 3, 4, like you would playing with a drummer when you're first learning music, these little lines represent where those clicks happen. And I can turn the click on. This little metronome here allows me to hear a click so that I can play along with it. Now, the skin I'm using, I should mention, so this is not the default theme or skin for Reaper. One of the great things about it is you can find the one that looks in a way that makes sense to you. I happen to be using one that's called Kamala, and you would just go to view, I gotta remember where it's stored. Is it in preferences? Options. It's under options, preference, or options, excuse me, themes, and then I have a list of the themes. Again, when I edit the video, I'll do something about this and how you put that together, but just so you're aware, I'm not using the default theme, so if you download Reaper and go to use it and follow along with what we're doing here, it'll look a little bit different. It'll have a different theme to it, but you can get this one and match what I'm doing. Okay, so the first thing we got to do is figure out what tempo our song's at. So I'm just going to hit play so it's clicking and I can play along with it. Yeah, I actually think the tempo that I loaded up by default, 120, is the right tempo for what I want to play. So I don't need to go up here and change tempos. You can do a couple things to find tempo as well. If you have a riff already that you know, this little thing, as I mouse over it, see it goes from BPM to tap. I can start clicking what I would be counting, 1, 2, 3, 4, and it'll tell me what tempo it is. Or you can sit there and type in numbers until the click is right and just guess basically. I think I'm gonna put on a pair of headphones because I want to be able to clearly hear the click and everything. I don't have the speakers cranked in the room. I don't want it to get feedback on the mic. All right. So we have to open a track. We have to open several tracks. So multi-track recording, obviously you can record different instruments. You can, in layers, I can do drums, bass, as many guitars as I want, one at a time, and play against the thing that was just done. The first thing I want to do is set up a track for drums, even though I'm going to be starting with the guitar, because I like to have the drum track on top for visuals. So this is the next piece of gear that we're going to talk about when we edit the video together. I have, or I shouldn't say it's gear, it's software. I have this software called EZdrummer by Toontrack. I do almost all of my drums with that when I'm not working with a live drummer. Even if I'm just writing and getting used to what I'm doing, it is, or demoing a song to give it to a drummer. It's a fantastic piece of software. It's toontrack.com, T-O-O-N track.com. EZdrummer 2 is the one I'll be using. When we edit the video together, I'll do screenshots and all that. But for now, I'm just going to insert a virtual instrument on a new track. So once you've installed EZdrummer, that's how you do it. Virtual instrument on a new track. You see EZdrummer is there. I have a bunch of different virtual instruments. And when it comes up with this, you're going to say no. You don't want yes to all of these things, or it's going to make a whole bunch of tracks individual for each one of the drums. I just want a stereo, easy to use drum output. So I say no to that. And up comes a virtualization of a drum kit. It's a fantastic drum kit. When you use EZdrummer, it has a default drum kit that it comes with, which is modern, and I think it also has this vintage kit here too, and it has a bunch of different mixes of them. For purposes of our song, we'll just use the basic modern kit. You can see I have a whole ton of them because I love the product, so I have just about every drum kit they have. And the second thing that you have in here is in the browser window, I have all of the different MIDI packs, which are performances by real drummers that are converted into what EZdrummer uses. So again, I have tons and tons of them, but it comes with quite a bit as well. So when we get to the point where we're going to have drums, I'm going to be going through the drum libraries looking for something that fits. But for now, I just put the track there, and you're going to want to do the same thing. So I'm going to also set up a bass track after the drums. I like to have the two of them together. That's just logic that works for me. That's just a regular track, so it's just insert track. Now, when you have the Motu M2 or a Focusrite or whatever as your software, you are going to have different inputs available to you. So the input that I have here is mono. A lot of times you play bass in mono. I'm actually going to record it in stereo. So this little button right here, in one, you're going to click that and set it up for in 1 and 2. That indicates that you're using a stereo input from the Motu where you've plugged your instrument into. Right, that's going to be the bass. Again, we'll come back to that later. One of the neat things you can do with this as well is that you can change the colors on these tracks and put icons on them. If it helps you visually, you right-click inside here in the track, and I set it to whatever color I want. Let's say we would like our basses to be, I don't know, like gold colored, like that. Kind of the same color as my bass. I can also put a track icon here. Set track icon, and it comes with all these icons, and I have some that I made myself as well. Later on, I'm going to be playing one of my basses, so I use the picture of the actual bass that I'm going to play so that I remember it for later which instrument I used. This is really good if you come back to something that's taking you multiple days to record. Remember which instrument you used, remember which settings you used. You can save that in here when you type it in, you type names in. And so again, that's it for that. We're not going to have any bass or drums yet, but we're going to come back to it. So we have to add one more track, which is which is going to be where we're going to record our guitar. So go back to track again, insert new track. I don't think I have a picture of this guitar yet, actually. I just got this guitar a couple days ago. So I'm going to change the track color to something that I use for guitars. Let's make it, I forget what I usually use, something like a purple. And then a track color. Set the tracks to a custom color. Excuse me, track icon, did color twice. Track icon, don't have this guitar stored up, so I'll use one of their icons just as electric guitar. And you don't have to do all of this. This is just my own kind of OCD preference here when I'm recording, to have something that matches what I'm playing. So whatever, we'll put that in there for now. Let me turn off, I want to turn off the notification sounds for subscriptions and such, because it'll actually come through on the recording and we'll have sounds while I'm playing the guitar. All right, so we're going to call this Intro Clean Guitar. And I think what I'm going to do, I have to figure out how many measures I want before the drums come in. Now generally I will start the song on measure 3 when I'm recording. So with Reaper you can set punch points. See over here in the upper right it says selection, and it's 1 to 1 right now. I'm going to change that to 3 because it's measure 3. You can see over here measure 3. And I'll change the second number, it doesn't matter, it's because I want it to stop. I don't want it to stop actually. So if I use the wheel to shrink it down, you can see that it's lighter over here. This is telling me where the recording is going to happen. And so if I just hit the space bar or hit the play button over here, and it's going to have the click turned on, that's this little icon here, so I can play into a time. And I would hear an 8 count, then okay, with this thing on, with this thing over here that tells me where to start recording, once I change this track to record, so you see I disarmed this track, the drums were armed, this little red light was lit up. I click that off because I don't want to be recording drums. I click it on over here on the intro guitar. I'm actually going to turn this off as well. This is the monitor. I'm sorry, there's a lot of little details here, so I'm trying to make sure I don't miss anything. I'm going to click that twice. You can see the little thing came up, record monitoring auto. I have record monitoring off because I have the sound of the guitar going through the Motu. We can all hear it. I don't also want to hear it coming through Reaper after it's had everything put on it, not yet anyway. So I have that turned off, and I have this record and engaged. So now when I go to play, I'm actually going to hit the record button instead of just play, and it's going to start recording at that measure there. Again, 8 count. So I can see that that is a mono track. Notice that it's just one wave file because I forgot to do this thing where I turn it into a stereo track, which I'm definitely going to want here because I'm going to be using stereo effects. I also noticed that the guitar was slightly out of tune when I switched to the F chord, so I've got to check that. Yeah, it's a little bit out. Tuning, it's a very exciting thing to watch somebody do, right? But last thing we want is a totally out of tune guitar. Okay. It's questionable. Try it for a second, come back if it's a little bit out. Okay, so we go back here, we're going to record this, and then I'm going to show you how we're going to put some kind of guitar effects on it and talk about the next piece of software you're going to want if you're starting to record. But let's get through one repeat of it. So again, I've got it counting an 8 count. Should not have been recording right from the beginning there. Why did it do that? Should only start recording here. I'm not sure why it's doing that. Alright, so as an example, I still got to tighten up the tuning. Now notice I'm grabbing and moving the waveforms. I'm not even sure why it started recording. It's not supposed to do that when I first start. I can grab, you see this little handle that happens here? I can grab and move them so I don't have to have areas that are just noise. Now there's a couple things I want to do here before I start putting the guitar effects in. There's one thing. I'm going to switch windows to the left side here for you to see. Okay, now you see the other side, the other screen, which is where the tracks are. And this would be like a mixing board with the shifters on it where I can set the volumes, and you can turn these knobs to pan it left or right, which you have some of this functionality in the other window as well. But you also see that I have these little chiclets here, these boxes. That's where I can put effects on the channel. So I am going to put two things that are going to happen that are really important for you. First one, we're going to talk about this master bus here. Over here on the left is this is the master left and right stereo channel for the entire recording. So that represents the final output when we have all the instruments together. I'm going to put one plug-in on this, which is hugely important for getting recordings that sound finished, and it is called a mastering plugin, and this is called the master bus because everything's been bussed over to it. And I'm going to use something called Lursen. Now again, when I edit this all together and we have a final video that you can watch as an instructional video, I'm going to put links to how you can get all this software, and I'll have this up next week at some point when I have a chance to edit it. But for now, I just have this massive list. I should slow down a little bit. I'll show you. I just clicked and see the little boxes as they kind of light up. I just left clicked in it and it pulls that up. And I started typing in the word Lursen, and here it is. You get this at IK Multimedia's site. I'll have the link in the description of the final video. And that is this thing here is pretty much for a home user all you need to get a decent master of a recording without having to go out, spend $100 per master or whatever it is that you'd be doing. And I'm going to use, I have my own preset saved, but they have tons of presets in here you can choose from until you find something that sounds right for you. I just have one that I like for me. So now when you hear everything back, it's going to be quite a bit louder, and it's going to be EQ'd a certain way. A lot louder, actually. I gotta turn that down or you're going to blow your ears out. Okay, so that was the first really important thing, is the master bus. You want that plug-in if you want your recordings to sound more finished. The next one is $35 and is the single most important thing you are ever going to get in your home recording experience as far as plugins go. You should have it before you have any other plugin, and that is some kind of channel strip. The one I'm suggesting is Waves SSL bundle. When I edit this together, I'll have something pop on screen showing where that is, but you can search for Waves SSL. The reason for this is it's going to take your recordings and have them sounding more like a record and a finished product, and instead of like mush where all the instruments kind of mush together, this the channel strips with the presets that come included with it, kind of they EQ and compress out certain signals so that the guitars and the bass and multiple guitars together and drums all fit together like puzzle pieces rather than overlapping signals where you start to get recordings that just sound like mush. So the first thing in my signal chain on the guitar, I have to clear the filter here. Again, I just clicked left click on the chiclet, and I have channel strips here. I have a few of them because I like some different options, but we're going to be using the SSL stereo one, and this is the one that's $35, and I use it on almost every channel. And this pops up here. Over here there's a little button that says load. These presets here, 99% of the time, are everything you're going to need to get a good recording. I almost never tweak them or do anything. I am going to set it to guitar because that's what I'm playing here. Sometimes with a clean guitar I might set it to acoustic guitar or classical guitar if I want to change the sound a bit when I'm going to have electrics and acoustics together. In this case we'll just start with the basic guitar. So now we have a slightly different sound. You hear it kind of takes away some of the signal. It's not as full sounding. What you think by itself maybe doesn't sound as good, but when you put all these things together in a mix, it becomes very important. Now, the next piece of software we're going to talk about, when you're doing recordings and you want to have guitar sounds, one way you can go, obviously, is your amplifier. and put a mic up to the amp and then plug the mic into the sound interface and get the guitar sounds that way. When you're starting out in your home recording, it can be really tough to do that right and get a good sound. I recommend actually just getting some kind of software solution for your guitar sounds, because it's years and years of knowledge to know where to place a mic and use the right kind of mics and get that sound of the amp into the computer. If you're just starting out, it's going to be a lot easier to get your sounds with software. I just yesterday posted a video on the two kind of premier software solutions, STL Tone Hub and Neural DSP. They're software amp modelers. They pretend to be amps and cabinets, and they have effects on them and everything. Neural's the one that I prefer. They're both fine though. So I'm going to grab that here, and we're going to find our guitar sound that we want for this. So I go over to the developer's Neural DSP. I am going to use, I'll click on Plini's one. I have a few of the different plugins from them. And so we're going to generate our guitar sound. Now you're going to see that plain sound is no longer there. It's going to be something that comes from one of these presets in Neural. And I want a clean one, obviously. I don't want a distorted sound for that. So let's just take a wild stab and see if that works. Okay, now one little note there. I have the effect after. See the chain here? I have two effects. I know it's very small, but in the upper left, SSL channel and the arch type, this is emulating the amp. You want the amp before the channel strip, so I just click it and drag it up so the channel strip is happening after the amp, and it's using the EQ and compression. Now it's under control. And we're getting a little bit of crackling. That's because I'm live streaming this, so it affects the sound a bit. So now I want to have drums come in there after that, and we're going to repeat the part, and then we're going to layer another guitar in. So this is where I go to EZdrummer. I'm going to switch screens again. Okay. See, we have the EZdrummer, you have the lanes here, you can see the wave file, you can see it fits in with the clicks, all of the counts here. I will load up EZdrummer, and I'm going to find a beat that kind of works with this. Now when you first buy EZdrummer, it's just going to come again with a few of these. I've got tons and tons. I've purchased many of them over time because I love the product. So I think this is just kind of a basic rock kind of thing. I'll look at what hard rock grooves are. I'm just taking a guess. We're at a tempo of 120, so I don't have to pick something that's exactly 120. It'll change the tempo to fit whatever you're doing, but they recommend a tempo on the list of things here because that's the tempo the player played them in when they recorded these into EZdrummer. So I'm just going to say a verse here, and I'm just going to hit this play button to preview it. That bass drum is very, very, almost too big. So let me actually fix that. So I don't want it that boomy, so I'm going to let this play, and then I'm going to go over to the mixer. So you see they have a separate mixer over here for the drums. This is the one thing, by the way, when you do your recording, you won't have an SSL channel strip on the drums because it's already been kind of handled for you in EZdrummer. And I just used this mixer here to lower the kick drum so it's not so overbearing. And remember at the beginning when I told you, when you add the drum track, you don't have to say yes to that list because this is all, it has its own mixer. If you said no, you would have a track for each one of the drums, and it's just unnecessary. You have it all here. All right, so now back to the browser. I want to find a beat that kind of works. Let's go to this next song example, see if it's good. Oh no, that one's based on Sandman, I think. No, I'm not liking these. I want something that's a little bit more groovy. So I just click on the word drum grooves. Let's see what we got. This process can take a bit sometimes, just trying to find the drum groove you want. Nope. I need something that's got like a closed hi-hat and just a nice kind of mid-level kind of feel to it. I'll try a couple more and then I'll settle on something. I don't think we need that. Let's find something that's a little less groovy than that. Disco, yeah, that's gonna be it. Yeah, it's definitely not it. Prog metal's got some good stuff. Roots has some good stuff too. That's got the funk stuff though. I don't want that. I know I can find something here. I must. Nope. Sorry guys, this takes a bit sometimes, but it's got it. You got to find the right beat. If you have the wrong beat, it's just not going to work. Nope. I want the one. There's a group of beats. Disco, I know, Ronnie. There's a group of beats. I think it's under Metal Fusion that I really like. Yeah, Matt Garska. It's the guy from Animals as Leaders. If you don't know that band, you should. Yeah, that's what I'm looking for. All right, now that sounds really good. Now I'm gonna have that come in. Oh, okay, so I gotta slow down. Some of the stuff I do automatically and then I do it too fast. It's not really good for explanation. But I take the MIDI, let me remove that. I take the MIDI right from here. I like this one. Right, I just right click on it, or left click on it, and then I drag and I can drop it into the drum track here where I want it to start. I don't have it starting with the song. I have it starting over here because I want to do the repeat. I want to play through this once and then play it with the drums. And maybe when the drums come in, like there'll be a lead guitar or something and the bass will come in with it, that kind of thing. So now I'm going to take the drums and move them over here to the left. All right, so we're going to play all this again. I'm going to check the tuning one more time. Notice now when I play the guitar, you don't hear the effect. That's because I'm just listening to the signal on the way in. If I click this thing here, that little button that turns pink, now I hear it as it's going to be recorded, which is fine in most cases, but sometimes you get a little bit of latency with it, like where you hit it and then the note comes out later, depending on how many effects you're using. That's why I often play with it off. But for the recording, we'll do it on. So we're going to give this a try again. We have the click on, we hit record. 1, 2, 3, 4. So now I have one playthrough of the drums and guitar. I'm going to drag this waveform, which I still haven't figured out why it's recording before the punch-in point. I did something wrong somewhere. Doesn't matter though, because you can always just drag it to what you want. And then I'm going to drag this over here so I don't have too much going. Let's listen back to it one more time, make sure we're happy with it. Now I can turn the click off. Good. So that would be the first part of the song. I'm going to have another part with a lead guitar on it. which I might have like a couple of heavy rhythm guitars on it as well. So the first thing I'm going to do is just drop other drums in there. Actually, the first thing I'm going to do is label it so I know what I'm playing or where I'm playing. This is more OCD stuff. Again, you don't need to do this if you don't want to. I've changed the rightmost number. Remember this section over here that gives me the selections? And I think the chat window is kind of in the way there. Let me see if I can move that. Way in the upper right where it says selection. It says 3, and then I changed the last one to 19 because that's the section that we've just recorded. And then I hit the Shift key and R. I right-click in this bar here, edit region. I'm going to call it intro. I'll even give it a color. I'll make it orange colored. That's my intro color because I don't know why. Now I can see an example of this section. You don't have to do any of this. This is just stuff that I prefer to do so I know where I'm at in the song. Now the next thing is going to be, I'll pull the drums back over. And what are the drums going to be for the next section? So I'm going to stick with this song. I'm going to go right to a chorus. And I'm just going to take that and drop it. I'm not going to be too picky now. I'm going to do that. There is one repeat. I'll drop another repeat in. This is going to be the whole song, just this minute or so you can hear what I did. And this will be, I will select this and it'll be the solo section. Again, Shift R. Hey Michael, yeah, this is the new one. I just got it. And we'll just call that solo. I'll color it purple. I like purple solos. I'm feeling purple. Well, that's raspberry, whatever. Raspberry solo. So I am not going to continue the clean guitar. I'm going to have heavy rhythm guitars. Okay, so I have to create new guitar tracks. Now that we have the two sections of the song. Hey, enjoy your pizza, Ronnie. Have a good one. I am going to, when I record tracks of heavy guitars, I generally record them in stereo. This is another basic trick. Of course, you don't have to do this if you don't want to. But so I'm going to actually have two tracks here. 1, 2. We'll make those two have the guitar icon. I'll select and then hit Shift and select the other one too. Track icon. We will change it to the guitar. All of this stuff will probably be edited out of the instructional video. I'm just going to give you the highlights that show you what to do. There it is. And I'll change the color for my rhythm guitars. Now, remember, these are both mono. You can record them mono, especially because they're going to be left and right. I generally record stuff in stereo. That is my preference. I'm not saying that you have to do that at all, but I'm going to put it all in stereo. It just gets more of the sound that I'm accustomed to. There's nothing wrong with doing it one way or the other. Okay. Now we're going to go over to the other window again. Now you see on the left, it's added these tracks. We have to add the SSL channel again to the tracks. So, and this, it's going to be a different effect this time, but so I will drag that over there and it just copies it. And I click and drag that over there. It's set to guitar. We have this sound here, which is the clean one. We're going to want to choose something else, like one of the heavy sounds. Crunch rhythm? I don't know. Let's see. I'm going to change pickups. Nope. Oh, nope, I'm listening to the wrong channel. Okay, so if we go back to the right here. Currently with this thing red here, the intro clean is red. You can see that. We turn that off and we turn this one on. Oh, that's loud. It's going to be really loud. Let's turn it low. Now we have the incoming signal mixing with the distorted signal. There's a button I have to hit on the mode 2 to change that. I'm just going to reach over and do that. There's a monitor button that's blue. You turn it on and off if you want to hear what's coming in or not. Now I have just the output sound. So it's not quite the sound I want here. Let's go check something else out. Look at one of Plini's sounds. Yeah, there we Okay, so we've selected a rhythm guitar sound. Okay, now I did that with this plug-in here. Sorry, I lost track which window I was on. So I've selected a sound in the Plini plugin of Neural DSP. I just used the presets here, and we picked the High Life electric sound. And so now I got to figure out what progression I want to play. Let me go back over to the window where the waves are again. Okay, so right here, when the clean guitar stops, the heavy guitar is going to begin. So we'll say heavy rhythm 1. Now we're going to want these to be, we're going to double it, like I said, it's going to be left and right. That's very common in rock, hard rock music, and metal music for sure. So we've got to record the first one. I'm not sure what my progression is, so I'm just going to play along with the drums for the moment. Yeah, I think I'm going to go up to E flat there. We're in the key of G minor. That could work. I'm just doing something simple for an example here, so I think I'll play something like that, and we're going to have to play it twice. So it sounds like it was a little low, but we'll see when the recording happens. So now again, look, I have what's selected here. You can see, let me move it over a little, where it's a lighter color because I have selected from measure 19 over here. 19, I'm using the mouse wheel, by the way, to roll in and out of that. From 19 to 34, I'm actually going to go a little further to the right because I want to hold that last chord. And so I'm just going to hit record and start playing from there. I'm giving myself a couple measures to count in. Notice that, again, this is pink, so I can hear it. I have this channel recording, heavy rhythm, and I just hit that. All right, it's probably going to be really loud when we play it back. No, it's not. So we go back to the plug-in here. We got to bring the output of the plug-in up. Actually, I want that in stereo, even though I'm going to be shifting it. Okay, so that's the first instance of it. I'm going to go to this pan wheel over here. Notice where my mouse is at on the track. There's a little thing that says center, and there's a wheel next to it. I can go left or right. I'm going all the way left. Now I'm just going to copy everything I did. I'm not going to cut and paste it though. I'm going to play it. So first things first, I got to copy all the effects over. So the same arch type effect again, and the same channel strip. Remember how important those channel strips are. Without it, we're going to have mush. Now I go back over to the right. I turn off this button because I'm not recording there. Actually, I'm going to call that heavy rhythm L because it's left, and this is heavy rhythm R because it's going to be on the right side. I'm going to roll it to the right. I'm going to hit the red button to engage that channel, and we're just going to repeat everything we just did. I'm moving the wave so it's no noise there. right. So we have recorded that successfully. We're going to move again the little wave thing. If I hold the shift key, if I don't hold the shift key, it moves on the lines. If I hold the shift key down, I can move it freely. And that's just so I don't have a bunch of noise coming in. So now we have rhythm guitars, all the rhythm guitar tracks recorded. We're going to do a bass next and then a lead guitar. Right, so I think our levels are pretty good. I didn't exactly match left and right guitars, but for the purposes of just showing you how to record, it's pretty good. We're going to switch to the bass guitar now, and so I have to get up for a moment. This is Reaper. I said at the beginning, just so you know, I'm going to be taking this live stream and editing it next week and putting all this together into a final video where I have links to all the software, everything that I'm using, and just like the highlights of this so you can see exactly all the steps that are needed for home recording. But the recording software is Reaper. Okay, I'm plugging the bass guitar in now. Gotta put my cans back on. Okay. I'm going to hit the button again where I can hear the instrument coming in. So on the front of the Motu M2, it's that little, it says MON for monitor, and it's blue or not. The blue lights are on, so now I can hear what I'm doing. Yes, you could absolutely use this with an acoustic. If you had an acoustic guitar, you could plug it in and then plug it into the Motu, if it has the kind that has the plug in it, like a little microphone inside. Or you could have a microphone on the acoustic guitar and then plug the microphone into the Motu or a Focusrite or whatever you're using. It's a USB sound interface for the computer. Plug sighting, absolutely. Okay, so now we got to put a bass track on it. I don't know which bass sound I'm going to use or if I'm just going to use the plain. But as I've been saying all along here, the first thing we have to do is put the SSL channel on it. Hugely important. The bass is going to be way overpowering if we don't do that. And so I'm going to take and click over here on the, notice I have the little boxes. We're on the bass channel. I'm going to go up to my channel strips, SSL channel stereo, and I'm going to use the preset for bass. That's all I need. It's that simple. $35 this plugin, and it will take a demo and turn it into a record. Now you're not going to hear any difference with me playing because we're listening to the signal going in, not the signal after the chain. Now I got to figure out what I'm playing on bass. I have no idea, so I'm just going to let it play. So that's, I did, so that's an E flat. All right, let's see. I kind of remember what I did there. back to the E flat. Maybe I can do that. Okay, so I just want to get that part first, the clean part, before I go to the next part. If I was doing this as a final song and not just a quick demo type of thing, I would spend a lot of time learning exactly what the bass and the snare are doing and syncing the bass up to that and having a rhythm that made a lot of sense with the drums. I don't want you to sit here and listen to me figure that out for what would probably be about 45 minutes. So I'm just going to play a basic outline kind of thing and we'll run with it. So that's our bass track. I'm going to drag the waveform over. I did that on the other side. Let me switch sides again so you can see the waves. Wish I could have both screens on here at the same time, but you'd have to have two screens to see it. So here's my bass track. Alright, I'm going to be a bit of a stickler. I'm going to show you punching in. You're going to see something new here. I want a bass fill there. Now, I actually need to, I'm going to switch cameras for a second. It's going to go just to my face. I need to restart the software because it's acting a little bit weird, which is only happens when I'm doing live streams, of course, because this is like the most stable software you're going to find. But let's just reload that quick. Hopefully gets rid of that crunchy sound. Okay, so I want to have a little bass fill in here. That was I'm hearing something there and I want to get it in there. See if that's it. Okay, so punching. When you play something that you didn't like how you played it, you don't have to replay the whole thing. That's part of the power of recording, and especially digital recording like this. So over here, just for this one measure, from 17 to 18, let me zoom in, rolling the mouse wheel. From 17 to 18, I don't just want this G note. I want something cooler there. So in the upper right, it's set to 17. You can see it's lighter from 17 on. I just want it from 17 to 18. So I type the word 18 in there. You can also drag these little handles. I'm going to go back to here and I'm going to hit the record button now, and it's only going to record, if it's working right, it's only going to record from 17 to 18. That way I can fix the mistake and not have to re-record the entire thing. Now it started recording all of it. I'm not sure what setting I have here that's making it do that. It shouldn't be recording just on the record button, but it's probably because I didn't load one of my templates. Let me see something. All right, so I'm not sure what the setting is, but it's still, we can work with it, and I'll show you how. So I'm gonna hit the record button. It's gonna end up erasing part of what I want, but it's very easy to fix. Stable software, yeah, it's actually not the software, Nick. This is something I did wrong. So it's because usually I work with a template when I record, and it's got all my settings exactly how I want for how the record buttons behave and whatnot. And because we're doing something from the ground up here, I didn't use a template. And there's something I didn't click that's making it record the minute I hit the record button instead of just on the punch point. But that's good. So this is how it's going to work for somebody who's never used the software. So it's good that I see it that way and can show you how to use it. Writing a song with electric or acoustic. So really whatever you're inspired by, whatever you want to write. There's no rule here. If you have something on an acoustic that you like, write that first. If you have something on electric, write that first. Right, so Now where were we? We were on. Okay, that's an F. So I just want this. And I'm going to play that in that one measure. Okay. Now, notice there's two lanes here, a yellow one and a blue one. This is keeping track of everything I did from before and now. So I can just click over here on 17, and I'm going to hit the S key. It splits it. And I'm going to do it again on 18, hit the S key, and it splits it. Now these are split into different sections, just like I cut them with if it was tape, I cut it with scissors. And I just click on this one. See, it's this lane here, not this lane below it. If I click that, that's lit up. If I click that, that's lit up. And then I click the top over here. So whichever one I clicked on, whichever one's lit up, is which lane, which recording it's playing. And I can do this infinite number of times. If I drag this out here, I could do 40 of these and just pick them. And this is something I do when I record vocals often. I will do a verse or a chorus 5 or 6 times and just sing all the way through it, and then go back and pick which little piece of a sentence I like best on that take. They call it compositing, I think, when you do that. Okay, so that's good. We have all that. Now we're going to record the bass over the heavy part, and when we're done there, we'll record a lead guitar, and that's all we'll need for the purposes of this lesson. So notice I'm doing a lot of stuff because I'm so used to doing it without talking to you about what I'm doing, so I'm hoping you're following. I just grabbed these handles on top here, and I picked the next section because I know that's where I'm going to be recording. So I'm going to be starting over here, which is measure 19, and ending over here. And now we're going to do this. Now when I do this, it's going to create a third lane. It's going to overwrite some of this, just like we had happen. Again, there's a setting that will make it not do that. Off the top of my head, I don't remember what the setting is. I wonder if it's locking. Let's click that little locking button, see if that was it. Nope. So I'm just going to hit Control Z and undo that. Yeah, I don't remember what that setting is, so we're going to have to do it with lane selections. That's fine. All right, so I click record, and the next part's going to be that E flat. It was, we were playing. Okay. Oh, I'm hitting the space bar to start and stop, by the way, and then hitting Control Z to undo what I just did, and starting over again. Okay, it'll do. It's a bass part. So when I did that, because we started recording here, we lost, see how that's highlighted from 18? I just have to remember to click back on the sections of the old take so that I'm getting the right bass parts. And then I'm gonna have to split it again over here at 19 and click the bottom one. So I have the tops here, bottom. It starts to get a little bit confusing. It's a little bit messy, but as long as you remember which take you wanted. And it's not destroying any of them. When you do another take, it doesn't overwrite the other one. So if you happen to like the other one better, you can always go back to it just by clicking on that lane. Okay, so that's not bad. I do want to select a bass sound of some kind. That's just the bass going in and nothing happening with it. So we're going to go back over here. We're almost up to the lead. I'm going to, again, go with the neural software that I'm getting my sounds from. So I go back to Neural over here, Neural DSP. Parallax is their plugin for bass. You're probably not going to need this when you first start. A straight up bass sound is not bad. I just want to hear something a little cooler. So obviously you hear all that noise there. I got to select a preset. I want something that's kind of smooth. Not a bit of rattle. That stuff is all going to be too heavy. Let's just pick one like that all around. Bring the level down. Now again, remember, I got myself in the way here, sorry. So I'm just picking presets from over here. In this case, I'm just trying one. I don't know if it's going to be the one I want. I'm going to turn the output down because I can hear the noise. You probably can too. Now remember, if I'm using software to create the sound, the software has to be first in the chain and then the SSL plugin so that it's affecting the final sound. Time. Just finding the sound I think fits while I'm listening to it. I think I like that first one. Yeah. Got a little bit of a bad note happening there in the rhythm, but we're going to run with it. All right, so the next and last thing is going to be to record a lead guitar. So I'm going to have to add one more track. Again. And wherever you add a track, by the way, so if I'm over here and I have the bass track selected and I click add track, it's going to go right after the bass track. So make sure you click on whichever track you want it to fall in after. Even if you do it wrong, let's do it wrong. Insert new track. You can also hit Control T. I can just pick it up and drag it and do that. So this is going to be a lead guitar track. We'll make that our nice lead guitar purple color, raspberry, whatever you want to call that. Lead guitar. We'll stick our icon on there. Because OCD, that's why. Oh, I'm doing it in the wrong place. I just showed you something and was off the screen. Let's do that again. So let me delete the track. It's hard to keep track of what I'm doing here. No pun intended. Okay, over here. So if I had a track, so I click on the bass track and insert new track, it drops it right below the bass track. So then I drag it over here. And always it's going to drop tracks after the last one that you were on. So this is going to be a lead guitar. Put that in. Stick a track icon on it. I don't know. We're using different guitars on each one. We'll make it that cool purple color, and then I have to go pick up the guitar. I also want to change it to stereo. I'm definitely going to be recording in stereo. So that's that little button there again. Input stereo in 1 and 2. Lots of details to remember. When you've done this a bunch of times, it all comes second nature. Obviously, I've been doing this 30 years. So a lot of it's second nature. I hope I'm going slow enough and explaining the pieces. When I edit the video together, I'll make sure everything's clear and I zoom in on things. And again, there'll be links to all the software and all that. I'm going to switch guitars. I'll be right back. Okay, I've got the electric guitar now. I'm going to once again reach over to the Motu, the hardware that everything's plugged into, turn the monitor off. I don't want to hear the signal of the guitar coming in. I only want to hear the finished process signal with distortion and delay. It's a simple button on the front. I'm smacking into stuff. Okay. So, we are going to record enable the lead guitar track. It's a little bit hot coming in. Okay, I'm going to teach you a little one of my secret tricks now for how I get my lead sound. First things first though, we're going to add the software. So let's go over here. We're going to add another instance of the Archetype software, the Plini one. And we're sticking with that one. So now this was what we used for the rhythm. Ooh, that is loud. Why is it so loud all of a sudden? Wasn't that loud before? What's going on here? Alright, that's not the lead sound I want to use. I want to find something that sounds like a lead. That's very dry. So let's see what this is. That'll do. Wow, that is crunchy. All right. Now, we have to put on the channel strip on this, just like we did with every other track except for the drums. And so I'm just going to drag and copy. Now that's just the basic guitar one. Because I have two rhythm guitars already using the guitar channel strip, I find that if I do the lead the same, it blends a little bit too much. I like to use, this is my little murky trick, I like to use for lead guitars, Tom Russo lead solo violin. That preset just makes for a nice singing kind of lead sound. Well, G minor pentatonic there. All right, so now we're going to go and try to record a lead guitar. I am going to make it up as I go along, and let's see how it sounds. I will switch to that again, and let's see what happens. Get a little bit of crunchies there, but it happens. When you're doing streaming at the same time, it gets kind of crunchy. So I just totally took that off the cuff there. Some of it was good, some of it I thought sounded like dog duty. We're going to turn off the record enable there and listen back. Okay, so one thing I want to do, I'm going to play again and show you how you can use lanes to pick the best of each take. And then we're going to be done with it. So one thing I can do though, how it ends here without a drum hit, there's no final like snare drum and crash. So I'm going to find something that has a crash cymbal on it. I think it's right here. Yeah, so this drum beat over here, I'm just going to cut and paste it. So Control C, I'm going to click on the drum track, make sure I'm in the right place. I don't want to be pasting it into the guitars. I'm going to go over here, I'm going to click on the timeline up here, and then I'm going to paste it. So now you have this whole beat. I don't need the whole beat though. So if I zoom in here, I can hit the S key, split it. I hit just like that, delete it. Then I can take this, notice how the icon switches, if you can see that there, and drag it back, holding the shift key so that it drags freely, and then I end up with just that. Sounds like the end of a song now. Okay, I'm going to record another take of a guitar lead, and then we're going to select from the lanes, and I'll show you how to output a song when you're done, and that's it. Oop. Okay, so I went to go hit record, and this little warning came up because I didn't have any track enabled to record with. It's a very good warning. I just hit cancel, enable the track, and get to it. So we have two leads there. I can select from those two which parts I like better. If I select that lane there, I want to drag that over. They're completely different leads, except for a couple little spots. So if I find that I like something from the first one better, so say I like the first half of the first one better, and somewhere's in here, I'm just guessing at this point because I'm not sure what I would do without listening in more detail. But so I have the first take, I hit the S, remember split the tracks? Can you hear the punk barking in the background there? And I have the first lane, the first take, and then I have the second take. He's going to bark for like a solid 5 minutes now. I shop you, video ruining dog you. Alright, so I have the first take for the first half, I have the second take for the second half. So they don't really fit together, but if you had pieces where you punched in and whatnot, you could always do that there. So I'm just going to keep the second half of the take. Okay, so you have a complete song here. Now I had these 8 measures of nothing, or 2 measures, excuse me, an 8 count of nothing. So I'm going to take the selection, move it over to here where it started, and everything fades out kind of here. So you see what I have selected. I'm going to shrink it a little bit. I have selected the area of music that is the actual music itself. I'm going to go to File, Render. I can output it as a WAV file, as an MP3. It says Format. I'm going to choose MP3. Over here, the bounds. I don't want the entire project because we're going to get those 8 counts of nothing. I'm going to go with Time Selection, and it's going to output this as an MP3 file. This window pops up over here while it outputs it. Go to get a sandwich, pet the dog, he's staring at the door. Now I have an MP3 of the song. In this case, I dropped it on my desktop. I'm just pulling up the file here. Oh, I didn't give it a name, did I? What is the name? I think it's called Your First Song. I forgot what I output it as. Yeah, okay, it's just called Your First Song. So desktop. Why am I not not finding it. That's pretty lame. Thought I had it on the desktop. This is user error right now. 100% user error. Let me hit it one more time. Oh, because there was a directory. So I want to be desktop. There we go. It dropped it into something else. All right, I'm going to render it one more time so you can see. All right, so again, for those of you who came in later while it's rendering, I'm going to be editing all this and posting it as an actual video with added footage showing all the hardware, all the software, where you get it with links in the description, so you understand every step of the way what you need to do the recording. And if you're using Reaper, like I suggest, and put the skin on that I have, and it'll look exactly the same. But even if you don't, you can follow the steps along. When I edit it together, I'll zoom in on things so you can see them well. And hopefully that will really give you a piece-by-piece guide to recording your first song. We have this now. I'm going to pull up my desktop again. And we have an MP3 file. So you see we have everything that we created now in an MP3 file with the mastering plugin on it that we talked about in the beginning. It will actually be releasable. If you're curious about the SSL stuff and how it sounds with or without, I have a whole video for that. I'll link that up when I do the editing and all that. I hope this was informative, and I hope I went slow enough for you guys to follow it. I'll see how it looks when I go to edit it. Thanks for hanging out with me tonight, and hope you guys are on the path to making some great music. I'll talk to you all soon.